What is up, you beauties? Brendan with Hero Dose Wellness here. Thanks again for joining me for yet another yoga flow. Today we've got a nice little pigeon yoga flow lined up, so some good flexibility, mobility, and strength we'll be building in the hips today. Looks like the mustache has made it a full 24 hours, so it's looking like it might stick around for whoever knows how long. Because we're doing a pigeon yoga flow today, I figure why not? The non sequitur will be, what is your favorite bird? We'll wrap at the end. Let's do it. Starting off, we're going to come onto our backs and we are just going to hug our knees gently into the chest as we slowly rock back and forth, massaging the lower back into our mats here. Just settling in, finding that place in your mind, finding that inner peace, inner stillness, and reminding yourself of your intentions as to why you decided to carve out a few minutes today to get onto your mat and get stretched out. Go ahead and extend that left leg out. Keep the right knee hugged into the chest. And we're slowly going to drop that right knee over the left leg. Let gravity do some work here, pulling that knee down towards the ground. Extend this right arm out and settle into a nice supine spinal twist here for just a few breaths. One more big deep breath here in the supine spinal twist. As we slowly bring that right knee back into the chest, give it one more nice little hug. Then extend that right leg out as you bring the left knee into the chest. Give it a nice hug in. And then slowly start to guide your left knee over your right leg and down towards the ground. Extending your left arm out, settling into the supine spinal twist on the left side now. Find your breath and settle in. One more deep breath here. As you slowly start to bring that left knee back into the chest, give it a nice hug, and then let that left leg extend out in front of you, and then nice good morning stretch, extending all four limbs in all different directions, just getting all sorts of length throughout the body. And then you can roll over onto your right side and press up. We're going to be in a seated position here, We're going to come into a seated forward fold. So again, just legs extended out in front of you, rooting down through your sits bones. Here we're going to start to allow our spine to fold forward here. And you want to make sure that this fold is coming from your hips, not your low back, because when you allow yourself to fold from your hips, that's what's going to protect against any kind of unnecessary tension or stress that you might be building in the low back. So from this seated forward fold, begin to fold forward. You can grab onto your toes, you can grab onto your heels, grab onto your shins, or just reach as far forward as you can. Whatever's most comfortable for you, find a good spot and really focus on getting a nice deep stretch down through your hamstrings and then all through your calves and into your ankles as well. Additionally, getting a nice little release in your low back. And we'll just find our breath and settle in here for a few breaths, for a few counts. Getting redundant with the words that I'm using. Deepening into the stretch with each breath. And one more breath here. Release, slowly adding length back into the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Now here, you always want to pair some sort of a twist with any kind of a forward fold to ultimately release any of that stress or tension that you might have built up in your low back and in your spine. So we're going to quickly do a seated half fish pose. And go ahead and bring that right foot, place it on the outside of your left knee, and then start to twist to the right. And you can rest your left elbow on the outside of your right knee. You should feel a real nice release in your spine, specifically in the sacrum region of your lower back. With each exhale, deepening into the twist. Hold here for just a couple breaths. And one more breath here before we move to the other side. Release, bring that left arm back around, bringing the right leg back over and extending back out in front of you, and again, just repeating that on the other side. So bringing the left foot just outside of the right knee, twisting to the left, and then resting the right elbow on the outside of the left knee, and then continuing to deepen into that twist with every exhale. Did not even realize my mat is only but a foot away from a mountain of rabbit poop. It appears to be rabbit poop. We have quite a few groundhogs running around here as well. No shortage of wildlife in the backyard. It's just a thriving ecosystem back here.
And taking one more breath here in the seated half fish pose. As we release, swing that right arm back up and over. Left leg comes back over and extends back out in front of us. Here we're going to go ahead and cross our legs, roll forward, palms come down into the mat, flipping the feet and coming into a downward facing dog as we get ready to dive into these pigeon poses. Do a quick down dog, sink both heels into the mat at the same time, or you can pedal them out one at a time to get a deeper stretch, really focusing on those hamstrings and then the calves, getting a nice explosion. And when we're ready, we can go ahead and reach that right leg up towards the sky, bring it to the front of the mat. Right shin comes parallel to the front of the mat, left leg comes down, press through your palms, and then lengthen through the crown of your head for a proud pigeon here. Settle in for just a few breaths. Should feel a nice deep stretch in your right hip flexor, and then additionally starting to get a nice deep stretch in the left region of your groin. One more breath here in the proud pigeon. Go ahead and flip back up onto your left foot, pressing up. Swing that right leg back, downward facing dog. Can stay here in down dog, or we might as well just add some activity, get some good energy going, some good mobility and ignition. Vinyasa flow, chaturanga coming into up dog. Again, not necessary, but if you're feeling like a little extra movement today, go ahead and mix in this vinyasa flow. We're all going to meet back in down dog here, and we're just going to repeat that proud pigeon on the left side. So left leg shoots up in the air, left shin comes forward, parallel to the front of the mat, right leg comes down, and then sinking your hips to the mat as we press through our palms and lengthen through the crown of our head, settling into proud pigeon. And taking one more breath here in proud pigeon as we press through our palms, flip onto our right foot, swing our left leg back, coming into a downward facing dog. Go ahead and get to flowing, get to that chaturanga, that vinyasa flow, if you've got the appetite for it. Coming back to downward facing dog. We're now going to shoot the right leg back in the air, right shin parallel to the front of our mat, once again settling into the pigeon pose. This time, however, we are going to allow ourselves to begin to fold forward over our front leg and extending our arms out in front of us. Forehead comes down to the mat. or at least letting gravity guide our forehead down to the mat and settling into this relaxed pigeon for just a few breaths. And taking one more breath in this relaxed pigeon. There's an ant crawling on my back. Slowly start to walk your palms back towards your front leg. Press through your palms. Flip back onto your left foot. Swing that right leg back, coming back to a downward facing dog. And vinyasa flow. Coming back to down dog. And we'll repeat that relaxed pigeon on the left side. Left leg shoots up. Left shin parallel to the front of the mat. Right leg comes down as we allow ourselves to fold forward, extending our arms out in front of us. Forehead comes down to the mat, settling into the relaxed pigeon for just a few breaths. And taking one more breath here in the relaxed pigeon. Walk our palms back to our front leg, pressing through the palms, coming back onto the right foot. Left leg swings back, downward facing dog. Chaturanga, vinyasa flow. Back to down dog, and then we got one more set of pigeons before our finisher. We got the right leg shooting up, right shin comes to the front of the mat, left leg comes down. Now here, let the hips sink down. We're going to go for the king pigeon. Should mention, if any of these progressions are too much, I invite you to stay here in proud pigeon, just pressing through your palms, lengthening through the crown of your head. But here, if you want to go for the king pigeon, you can go ahead and come down onto your your left forearm. Right leg's in front, coming onto your left forearm, bending your left leg, and then reaching behind with your right hand, grabbing your left foot and pulling in. Now, not only getting that deep stretch in your right hip, but you're now getting a great stretch in your left quad as well. Apologize, I'm getting covered in mosquitoes right now, but that's part of what goes into the practice of yoga is finding or being able to maintain our presence despite external circumstances that are happening around us. So, despite mosquitoes crawling all over my bare skin and having a feast, we will not let it deter us from the magic that we are creating on our mats here today. One more breath here in the king pigeon. If you're grabbing onto that back leg, you can go ahead and release it back down to the ground, pressing through your palms, coming onto your left foot. Right leg swings around, downward facing dog, into the vinyasa flow. Back to downward facing dog. And we're just going to repeat that king pigeon on the left side as the left leg shoots up, left shin comes to the front of the mat, right leg comes down, and we're going to come onto our right forearm, bend the right leg, reach back, and grab the right foot with the left hand, sinking in for a nice deep stretch in the left hip and in the right quad, settling into king pigeon for just a few breaths as we near the end of our practice today. Go ahead and take one final breath here in the king pigeon. Go ahead and release that back foot if you're hanging on to it, pressing through your palms, coming onto your right foot. Left leg swings back around, downward facing dog, and we can mix in one final vinyasa flow as a little bit of dessert. Well, if you're doing this in the morning, I don't know how many people are having dessert with their breakfast, but nobody's stopping you if that's your thing. Coming back to downward facing dog, walk, jump, or hop the feet forward to the front of the mat, bend the knees, add length into the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Now we're going to do just one final pose here. Nothing crazy. We're not even going to stand because we put in so much work. We're going to do a seated, wide-legged forward fold. So coming down onto our butts, opening our legs as wide as our body allows us, or as wide as comfortable, and then we're simply just going to, similar to that initial forward fold that we did in this flow, we're just going to allow our spines to lengthen forward, and this fold is going to be coming from our hips, not our low back. You can go ahead and extend those arms out in front of you and just invite our old friend gravity over for just another cup of coffee here. Let gravity guide your forehead down towards the ground and just allow yourself to deepen and sink into the seated forward fold for just a few breaths as we round out our practice here today. But nothing after this, so we can appreciate just the stillness of this gently intense seated, wide-legged forward fold. Taking one final breath here in the wide-legged, seated, wide-legged forward fold. As we slowly start to add length back into the spine. We were getting close to Van Damme territory with that forward fold. And that's it. That does it for this pigeon yoga flow. When it comes to my favorite bird, it's difficult to choose. I just love the fact that birds are the most like dinosaurs than any other living species. Well, maybe aside from sharks, but nevertheless, birds are very interesting creatures, and I won't talk your ear off. Our dog is not named it for the bird. He's named for the lead character of the classic from 1979, The Warriors. But I will say my favorite bird is a swan. They are just some of the most majestic creatures when you get the opportunity or the privilege to see them in real life. So my answer is a swan. I would love to hear your answers. Shoot me an email, leave it in the comments. If you're feeling it, like, comment, subscribe on the channel. Feel free to check out the other channels. I got Hero Dose Life Talks on YouTube, and then on Instagram and TikTok as well, Hero Dose Wellness. Again, check out those pages if you're feeling it, but what matters the most is the fact that you took the time out of your day to invest in your own yoga practice. So thank you for taking the time to join me in this here video today, and hope to see you for the next one.